Hey, welcome to the Invest in Denver podcast. This is Dan Guenther here. I'm a local real estate agent, investor, and yeah, we're getting this thing going.
This is the first ever episode of Invest in Denver podcast. Dude, thanks, Dan. It's a Guenther?
We got Guenther.
This whole time, I thought it was like Gunther. I'm trying to like accentuate that U in there. I mean, and that sounds like German or something.
Most Germans would say Gunther, but yeah, we adjusted.
We adjusted to the American lifestyle. Well, dude, thanks for hopping on, man. This is super exciting to actually have this going. I feel like this is something that is much needed within the podcast space, especially in the Denver area. We're going to go over the August state of the market situation, being very Denver specific. So this is really true to life information, and we're going to go hit you guys with facts, statistics, and anecdotal evidence that we're seeing since we're both investor agents here in the Denver area, both on the FI team. We're looking at both the investor side and homeowner side. First-time home buyers, we work with a lot as well, and just want to give you guys that value as much as possible. We're in the trenches here, right, Dan?
Yep, every day.
Every day. Yeah, ever since you quit your job too, man. Dude, congrats, by the way. This is pretty sweet that you're on here full time, man.
Yeah, this is my job. It's been an adjustment, work for myself, so it's good.
It's good. Yeah. So I guess going through the state of the market, we're looking at a certain report. So specifically, we're both realtors, and, that sort of sets us apart from typical real estate agents. So realtors going through these extra ethics classes, going through these extra classes just to make sure that we hit a higher standard of business for our clients, right? So we're part of the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, or DMAR, and they put out these monthly reports. This one in specific is called the Denver Metro Real Estate Market Trends Report of September 2022. So we're just going to go over that and give our insight on it and provide a whole bunch of value for you and what all these numbers mean going forward. So to be a little bit more clear on what these counties and what the counties that we're talking about here, right? Could you maybe explain what those 11 counties are, Dan, and maybe where the general area is if people were not 100% familiar with those counties?
Yeah, so it can be a little bit confusing for anybody when you just hear Denver. You're thinking, oh, Denver, but no, it's actually quite a big area. Yeah, it covers Adams County, Arapahoe, Boulder County, which is 30 minutes north of Denver, Broomfield, Clear Creek, Douglas, Elbert, Gilpin, Jefferson, and Park County. So it's quite a big area. Honestly, when these numbers come in, you need to consider the differences between those counties, and obviously price points change quite a bit between Boulder County and down to the Denver area. So when we are going through these numbers, consider that median price versus average price is going to be significantly different.
Yeah, when you're seeing Boulder County in there and Douglas County in there versus the typical city of Denver or even some Jefferson County properties, there's quite a bit of difference here. And I guess more specifically, can you maybe give 4 points, the northernmost city, just in general, right? I mean, Boulder is pretty north up there. And as far south as maybe even Castle Rock, I believe that's still within Douglas County, right?
Yeah, I think Parker's even included in the Denver Metro, and then down to Castle Rock in that area. I'm up in Longmont, so that's Boulder County. That's one of the northernmost cities in Boulder County. And so, yeah, you're spanning quite a big area here for these stats. Something to consider.
Yeah. Like what Dan said, consider it all when we go through these statistics. It's all part of the equation going forward. And thanks so much to the Ruth team as well for providing all this information to DMAR and to us eventually. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, they absolutely kill it on these stats. Nicole Ruth, shout out.
Big shout out. Yeah, I actually want to meet her one day because honestly, a lot of my clout, according to my clients, is thanks to her and her team. It's kind of nice that they're providing all this information. I love it. Going forward, the actual market overview of the residential Denver area, we're looking at the biggest statistics so far that I think, in my opinion, is the inventory, We're looking at what
Mhm.
Denver is and what like how many houses are on the market right now. We are so used to like quarter one, quarter two, early 2022 numbers that seeing July and August take that huge shift and cut of active listings, and it's now like slowly rising. So maybe you can expand on that a little bit more, Dan, of like active listings versus last month, and maybe even like year over year, because last year was still a really hot seller's market,
Yeah, no, it's honestly crazy. This year or this month, actually, we're down for active inventory. We're at 6,900, about, just down 5% over last month. Year over year, still 93% up from
Yeah,
last year. Is that right?
yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Where even as of last year, August of last year, I mean, I think that's almost when everything started to become such a hot seller's market, like summertime of
Right.
2021, right? And then going forward, looking at what active listings today is 6,900. So
Yeah.
approximately this time last year, we were at what, 3,500, something like that. I mean, considerably less active listings back in the day, but now there's so much more listings on the market that buyers, I guess, now have a chance of like finding something within their price range and able to work something out.
Yeah. I mean, it's true because there's just not as many options right now. So people are actually able to come in and with interest rates, as we're probably going to connect to shortly. But yeah, there's just more opportunity for buyers out there right now.
And what are you seeing as far as interest rates go? We're just going to touch on it a little bit just so that people have an idea of what it was like last year versus what it's like now, because that actually took or was a big factor in the reason why there's so much more supply now versus last year, right?
Yeah, no, honestly, there's last year people were getting rates at 2.5%. You're I talk to a lot of sellers right now that are like, well, I had an interest rate at 2.5%. So why would I refinance or, sell right now and then potentially get into a 6.12% interest rate? Just, it's crazy. That's 4% difference. That's a big chunk of money every month. So that definitely has impacted things a lot.
Yeah. And that happened. The interest rates hike happened so quickly. I think it was like in the month of June where the Fed raised the interest rates like 2% at one point, like over the course of a month. And we were in the 5%. And I think early July, we were seeing like mid sixes at a certain point, depending on what kind of buyer you were, whether that's investor or first time home buyer. It does make a difference. But nonetheless, it is so much more than what we were seeing last year at like 2.5 to low 3%. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And you make a good point there because everybody has a different situation. If you're coming in with an investment type loan, you're looking at 7% right now.
Yeah, when you're looking at 7%, yes, that is a high point. That is a really high interest rate, and that does take into consideration what your loan amount is, right? So if you're able to put more money down, it's not going to be as big of a burden on you. Of course, not everyone has that kind of luxury, but at the same time, when you're looking at 7% versus the 2.5%, when you were buying back then, there's some pros and cons for each market. So back in the day, August of 2021, you're getting like 2.5%, maybe even 3%, but you are catering to the seller so much, like 50 grand to 100 grand over the asking price. And then some, like
Exactly.
just not waiving inspections. Like I would never recommend that to my buyers, but I would say like just not asking for any sort of inspections. I do want them to go forward knowing that they can terminate based on the inspection, but I wouldn't waive the inspection in terms of making that transaction happen, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, back in those days, you could ask, but you are most likely not going to get anything, which which is good that we're seeing a little bit of a flexibility now on the seller side. So actually a lot of flexibility as we were just talking about before this. But yeah.
Yeah. What kind of flexibility are you seeing, Dan?
So just the last couple months here, I've had a couple deals go through and we're getting seller credits back, which can go towards closing costs, buying down interest rates, which is very helpful. And then also sellers that are willing to repair things because they know that they're going to need to do it with this buyer or potentially the next one. So lots more flexibility. It feels good, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh.
As an agent, like we can actually come in, we're helping our clients out and we're actually getting money back for them. It feels so much better than the last year where it was just like, sorry guys, bring the cash or we're going to have to try again later. So
for sure. And to be honest, I think it's part of the reason why that my offers are still getting accepted pretty quickly, where I make some pretty aggressive offers with no skin off my buyer's back, where I have offers still saying like an inspection termination deadline, but no objection or resolution deadline. So it's almost like still an all or nothing situation in terms of our offers. But, we can still have that way of backing out. And to the sellers, it's sort of like, ooh, I kind of want this deal to go through. Can I counter with like, maybe a lower bit of a price point for you and putting in objection and resolution deadlines? Cause I would like to see the negotiation table with you, buyer. I was like, are you serious right now? This is kind of cool. Like I have a say in this transaction. This is really nice.
Yes. And especially if you're a good person too, like, these last few transactions, just been working with really great agents. Like communication is key, and just realizing we all want this to go through. We want everyone to be a win-win situation. And it just feels really good actually having a bit more leverage on that side. You feel like you're helping your buyers out a lot more.
Yeah. And while we're on that note, I feel like this is a really good point to, it's not going to be much of a state of the market in terms of the real estate market and the housing situation. But what I found was interesting on the market insights here was that it is estimated that 250,000 or more realtors will exit the market. Consumers are looking for quality real estate experts who can help them with the biggest financial decision they make in their lives, not part-timers whose side gig is real estate. And I feel like that's something to say about like the FI team in general, or even us, where we're not your typical real estate agent where we just send you on an MLS listing search and you do all the work, right? There's so much more to it that sets apart like the best realtors from ones that just do this part-time. So what are you doing that's different, Dan, that people would find more valuable in the real estate space?
No, 100%. Like, honestly, I think a lot of people think that you can just get into this industry and they look at the percentages of what people make. First of all, it's not actually like that. But, just on top of that, the things that we bring in with the FI team especially is our resources, our connections. First of all, we're all investors ourselves. So if you are an investor working with us as your agent, we're bringing in contractors. We're bringing in everything that you need to do. We're running numbers with you, making sure that these deals make sense and that they're actually going to make you money. Not a lot of agents are actually going out of their way to actually crunch numbers and run through situations to make sure that this is actually the best decision for you based on your situation. So I think that's, those are some of the biggest things that personally I bring as an agent as well. And I know you do the same. I think it helps being an investor with that mindset of what our end goal is here.
Yeah. And I think it's a requirement to be part of the FI team. You need to have an investment property, whether that's your own primary residence where you generate income off of it, or you have some properties in Ohio or New York or something like that. You need to have an investment property in order to make these better decisions for your clients and in order for them to fully trust you and understand you. So this is all stuff that, being part of the FI team, that's what we provide, not to keep rubbing the back of the FI team, but, that's honestly one of the reasons why I joined it. And I actually reached out to Craig and some of the other FI team members when I purchased my house hack. So, it's all part of that process. And it makes a lot of sense that the realtors that stay within the FI team are seeing a lot of success because we do things differently than your typical real estate agent. So I know, Dan, like, you put out these weekly newsletters in terms of like what the interest rates are like or what the market is like weekly. And that's for everyone in your database. So can you expand on like what you like to explain on those newsletters?
Yeah. So, honestly, I just like to keep people in touch. So every week I send out an email to everybody in my database and people that I want to stay connected with. And that includes usually interest rates, which are obviously very important right now. And then, I just like to update them a little bit on, what's going on in the market or even what's happening in Denver. I like to, put out events and things that are going on in the Denver area or what's going on in the mountains. So, yeah, just one way to stay in touch and realize that I am actually here. I'm a real person and I'm trying to stay connected. So,
I feel like that's another thing too, where realtors forget that people kind of want to understand more about you. You ask so many questions about what the client wants to do, what the client's best looking property has and what the budget is and things like that. But you forget it's not just a transaction. It's a relationship, and relationships are two-way streets. So when you put in that extra effort of like having people understand you and having people just know that you're an actual human being and you have a third dimension to you than just like only real estate, you feel much more connected to your client. And that makes a world of difference in having people want to work with you,
100%. Yeah. And I think like a lot of people don't realize that we also have backgrounds before this too. As you know, I was a special educator before this, and, I bring a lot of those skills into what I do as a realtor here. And I think, when I actually am able to explain that to people, they realize more that I'm not just here for the sales and the money. We're actually here to help people, and that's a huge passion of mine and a part of who I am. So that's one way for me to be able to share that with people that wouldn't actually know that. So
100%. And I guess another piece of value that we're providing to our clients and the audience in general is the market overview and market statistics. That's why we're here, people, to make sure that you're informed buyers, informed sellers, informed Denverites. So, I guess going back to the market overview and seeing what things look like over time, looking at everything in the residential space compared to the prior month, the amount of closed homes is down, closed price is down as far as the average goes. The closed price median percentage is down. So a lot of these numbers are showing that you're not paying for list price for these properties that are on the market these days. A lot of like the median is down, the average is down as far as the closed price goes. And here we are in a place, anecdotally as well, we're seeing our offers getting accepted and we're like, 10 grand, 30 grand under asking price. It's pretty insane right now.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to touch back on that too, is the average close price at $657,000. That includes all of your multi-million-dollar areas. So that's still significantly, something to think about. And then the median price, $579, that's also still pretty high. I don't know about you, but the properties that I've been going for clients are sub 600 and even getting closer to 500 now, especially for the house hackers out there.
Yeah, I am definitely seeing that as well. I closed one last Friday, which would be September 2nd. We went at asking price, and I guess to piggyback on what you were saying with how much you can ask for, what the seller's credits look like, things like that. My buyer, who's a house hacker and was looking to operate the basement as a short-term rental, he needed to install egress windows down there. And I mentioned that to the listing agent, and the listing agent is like, sure, we'll give you 12 grand to put in 2 egress windows. And now he has 2 conforming bedrooms in the basement. It's like, oh my God, like 12 grand just because we asked for it. It's freaking insane. And then lastly, like that's not even the complete story. Like looking at the upstairs and like the closing costs as well, they took care of $4,000 in closing costs. So all my buyer had to do was deposit the earnest money towards the transaction. And he was able to get a check for $900 at the closing table for him. He got paid, not for the seller. Back. He got paid at the closing table. Like
that's awesome.
Imagine like buying a 4-bed, 2-bath place for $4,100 like net. Insane market that we're in right now. And if that doesn't make you want to buy, I don't know what will.
So for the next month, the one that we have coming through, we're going to definitely break down some numbers and show you guys how crazy these return on investments are just using these strategies that we are doing. Like the numbers are insane. Over 100% return on investment on something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild.
Easily. And that's not even like the appreciation factor. I mean, we could include the appreciation, but that's never guaranteed. But the actual rent that you're getting and the leases that you're installing for your home, like that stuff is guaranteed because that's a written agreement. But the appreciation, as we know for like Colorado or Denver in general, that's all very significant and a portion of why we like to invest in Denver in the first place. A drink
Right.
because I said the podcast name. But one last thing that I like to bring up in the general summary of like the market overview, like in page 2 that we're seeing here. Maybe next time we can actually show like a shared screen portion of this. Maybe you guys can see these statistics going forward, but we'll try this out audio first and you guys can actually see or hear about it from our point of view. So the days on the MLS has increased significantly from the prior month. So the days on the MLS on average has increased to 19 days on the market. And I know you've seen this too, Dan, where the moment it hits like 2.5 to 3 weeks on the market, sellers panic and they see that price reduction immediately. And buyers like are jumping at the throats to try to get that deal done.
Yeah. No, honestly, I think this is one of the biggest hard points of the transition in this market that we're seeing is also now that both of us are working with sellers as well. It's hard to keep that mentality going that this is okay. This is normal. We need to be patient and make sure that this market, continues to work for us. But honestly, once like 3 months ago when it was literally you list the house and it's gone in 2 days. Now it's like, oh my God, it's been 2 weeks. What's wrong? Like, is my house terrible? Is the price too high? It's like, no, the market's shifted. A lot of factors have changed. Also, we're coming to, we're in September now. So this is also normal for fall market to slow down and not as many people are looking. So lots of different factors in play here. And clearly the market has shifted. So
the market has shifted. And the fact that I'm getting calls from listing agents asking for me to provide feedback, like I would usually never hear back from them. And here I am getting a call directly saying, Ian, thank you so much for showing my property. What did you not like about it? I'm like, whoa, you want to hear about my experience? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Please, Ian, can I take you out for a beer? Just want to, run over the house one more time and see what happens. And maybe we can make a deal happen.
You know what? I'll think about it. I don't know if I have the time for it at this point in time, but we'll see.
It was okay. Completely perfect property. It was all right.
Another portion of the market insights that I found really interesting too, a little bit more on like the affordability on Denver. The affordability of Denver, even on the rental space, everyone's feeling that crunch. All the people that are renters are feeling that crunch of like, man, rents are going to raise next year. And they're becoming like almost the status of mortgages, like 30-year fixed mortgages. I'm like, first of all, we have something to say about like renting versus buying. That's already a different subject.
We are a little biased on that, but yeah.
But the main point I want to address right now, as of right now, is that on the market insights here in that same market trends report, is that people moving to Denver are coming armed with home buying budgets 12% larger than what locals have, according to a new Redfin analysis. That gap puts Denver in the top 10 cities nationwide, where the purchasing power of out-of-towners outpaces that of existing residents, a factor that's significantly driving up home prices and critically limiting housing supply. I find that to be astounding, first of all. I mean, like, it's sad to say that, like, sure, a lot of people that are coming into Denver are higher income earners and have a higher purchasing power than your typical, like, locals here in Denver, and the locals have to move out in order to find something more affordable. But the thing is like, I find this, it doesn't feel like a complete story. Who exactly is moving here and what is their budget actually like, Yeah,
honestly, I feel like some of that data could be skewed a bit to, like potentially not including all the people that are moving here for just the typical type of job. This could be, I guess we are talking about the high income earning people, right? Is that what the article was?
So, it doesn't say anything about high income earners, but yeah, I mean, they do have budgets larger than typical. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's neighborhoods for that, but there's also still plenty of affordable neighborhoods, as we know. and
Yeah,
it's a very big area.
for sure. And, I guess let's expand a little bit on more on why we are so biased. Like, sure, a lot of the people that are locals or that have been trying to buy or that have been saving up for that down payments and things like that. What do you say to those people that see the statistic and just get so disheartened investing in Denver or wanting to, I don't know, stay in the city that they love?
Yeah, honestly, like it comes down to, not to toot our own horn again, but talking to a good agent and actually getting those numbers. Like I think a lot of people read news lines and headlines like this and think, nope, I can't do it. But for myself personally, my wife and I, we bought a $500,000 house last year, making under $40 an hour combined. That's, it's something that's doable if you talk to the right people and you have the right goals. Like obviously, if you're just trying to buy your own house, then it could be slightly different. But there are ways to work around things, and just figuring out exactly what you need and what you want.
Yeah, there are people out there that just don't understand or don't know that you don't have to put 20% down. Shoot, you don't even have to put like the full amount down. I mean, that buyer that I was talking about that closed on the 2nd, he's working with the CHAFA program, which is a down payment assistance program where you can get 3% of that down payment covered by the state. And that's an amazing resource to get in the game as soon as possible. It's not like my buyer was initially planning on putting down like 25 grand or 30 grand, including closing costs or something like that. He was anticipating only putting down, let's say 10 grand on the property because of this CHAFA program. And there's a lot more to it. And I don't want to delve too deep into it. I would just say like work with the proper lender, work with a local lender that someone on the FI team recommends or your preferred realtor recommends in order to find that proper program in order for you to get in the game and just hold on to that real estate and find ways to mitigate that mortgage as much as possible.
Especially as a new investor, like there's a very high chance that you can get in for 3 to 5% down or less.
Yeah, 100%, man. Another thing that I'd like to point out, Dan, is the close price over the list price. So I know we mentioned earlier that the offers that were being put in are going at list price or even lower than list price. Buyers have so much more leverage than what they did last year, last month, or maybe not last month, but like earlier on this year, right? So I guess to give you guys an idea of what these numbers mean exactly. So if you have a $500,000 property and you close at $500,000 when you put in that offer, that's 100%. That's close price equals list price. That's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? That's 100%. So to give you guys an idea of what it's like now, we're looking at 99.41%. So as of right now, we're seeing offers putting in or being put in lower than what the actual list price is by the sellers. So how does that compare to like last month or even a year ago?
Yeah, so honestly, the last couple months, you were looking at like 105%, at least 5% over the actual asking price. So again, that 540,000 or $500,000 property would have been at like 540, 530, and even higher than that for certain properties, which is crazy. But this month we are finally seeing things that are coming in 1 or 2, maybe 3 offers on a property, and they're coming in at asking price with conditions as we mentioned before. Yeah, honestly, something else that I've noticed, Ian, was the nice properties right now are still going very quick. Anything that is in that 600, between 5 to 600 range, that is actually turnkey, ready to go, 2 days, 3 days, still going under contract. Anything that has, a bit of work to do, they're sitting. Those are the ones that we're seeing that are 19, 30 plus days on the market. And those are the ones that we are targeting as well, just because, put a little work in and get that same equity back.
Yeah. When you're talking about properties that are actually priced well and finished with like granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, the deep sink, the gooseneck faucet. I mean, everything that sort of caters
Love
to
us.
Yeah, it's fantastic, actually. A little bit of a tangent before I continue. I don't know why they had sinks that had dividers in the first place. That really annoyed me when I was washing dishes ever since I was a kid, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know why they had that.
I
Just
don't
a
know who
deep,
thought of that.
yeah, stupid in its entirety. Anywho, those houses that have a lot of those accommodations, and they're priced well are still the ones that get bought up within like 3 days. You know, listing agents know that that's going to be like a desirable area, desirable home, the perfect layout. And it still has that same formula of what we were seeing back in quarter 1 and quarter 2 of this year, where
Correct.
they have that coming soon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, showings Friday and Saturday and Sunday, open houses Saturday and Sunday, and then go under contract by Monday. And that like 3 or 4 days where it's on the market is happens so quick. The thing is like, let's say they overprice it. And this is what I'm seeing as well. Let's say it is a great layout. Let's say it is in the great neighborhood, desirable house, right? The thing is that if it's overpriced, let's say comps are showing that it should be priced at 600,000, but they price it at 675, getting greedy, right? If it prices at 675, it's going to sit. And oftentimes that days on market statistic where people see that, hey, it's been on the market for 21 days. I wonder what's wrong with it. Now they're not even selling at the comp level. They're selling it at like 580 or 590 or something like that, which is underneath where the comps are. So now, I don't know. It's just that sort of like mentality, that emotion behind it, where that statistic of days on market, something must be wrong with the place.
There's a lot of weird psychology involved as well, like especially after the last 2 years of a pandemic, it changed everyone's mind, especially on this situation. Before it was like 7 days, it's like, what's wrong with it? Now now it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There's nothing wrong with it. This is just the price we want to get. And sometimes that works.
And like a lot of the emotional buyers out there, like strictly residential buyers, they look at that days on market and have it like they put it on a pedestal. For some reason, that statistic has so much clout and priority over any other statistic that we see on the MLS. And that's where we come in as agents. Like, hey, if we're looking at this property and we do a showing and all the bones are there, the structural's there, and we can kind of see why it's been on the market, but it's nothing that shows a red flag on that property. So let's put an offer in. Then we can dig a little bit deeper on like, hey, what is the structural like? What is the inspector saying about the property? Then when we get the inspection report done, that's when we can either terminate or negotiate on that same property. So why let that simple number or statistic of days on market deter you from a house that has everything you want, making an income, or ultimately just a place you want to live?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but honestly, I get excited when I see higher days on market for a property. I'm like, well, let's go. I can go in there and I can make sure that there's nothing wrong with this place and get a good deal out of it.
No joke. And speaking of like days on market, right? And with the higher days on market, as we mentioned earlier, like once you hit that like 2.5 week to 3 weeks, which is like 21 days on market, you start to see price decreases. And over the past 7 days, as of the time of this recording, September 7th, we're seeing 1,178 new listings and 1,682 price decreases. So there's more properties on the MLS right now that have seen decreases versus new listings coming on the MLS, which is insane to me.
Ian, that number is crazy. Literally, like 3 months ago, April, there was 20. I remember seeing like 20 price decreases, and those people were just way over. Like 20 out of 11 counties that we're talking about here. And we have 1,600 price decreases. Not to scare anybody, like this is just a normal thing that's happening and the market's shifting, so everything's adjusting. We're still comparing appraisals and prices to numbers that were 20% over the price that, fair market value should have been potentially. So I feel like this is totally normal.
I 100% agree. And it's just, I don't know if it's because of greed. I don't know if it's because of the anticipation of wanting to get that top dollar for it. But nonetheless, the statistics are here where price decreases are significantly higher than what they were earlier. The thing is like, even if you get that home, that price decreased home, right? Where it's like 20K under the original listing price, your comps when it appraises is going to be so high because over the past quarter one, quarter two, those homes were selling 50K, 100K over the comps in that neighborhood, which is so significant for those buyers that are buying today.
This was the exact issue we had, like we were saying 3-4 months ago, where appraisals were, I'm not going to sleep tonight because I do not know what's going to happen here. Like we're going 60K over asking and we need this to come in. But now it's like, well, you're comparing to those numbers. So personally, I feel pretty good about appraisals. I haven't had any that weren't actually at what I needed recently. So that's good.
100%. Same with me, man. It's nice to know and a little bit more comforting that the appraisals are, or the comps are much higher than what we were seeing back 4, 5, 6 months ago. So always a nice thing to see. So I feel like that's like the general overview of the market statistics. And the thing is that there's so much more to these market analyses. Thank you, Ruth team and DMAR for actually putting this out again. Huge shout out for you guys for putting this all together because we wouldn't have this information all in one spot if it weren't for you. So big cheers. So I guess as we wrap this up, Dan, is there anything you'd like to ask of me? I like to turn the tables, and for some future episode, I might have that sound effect going in like, you might imagine how I got here or something like that, like 90s movie situation. But I like to just give you the mic, and for my future episodes, I'm going to have more of an interview style, but this is the state of the market. And I feel like having your input on this, especially a boots on the ground kind of guy, super important. But anywho, with you being the guest and me being the host, I would like to give the mic back to you. Is there anything that you'd like to ask of me?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Honored to be a guest and future co-host going forward. I think it'd be awesome, honestly, if we had fans, followers also shoot us questions as well for random things that they want to know about us or what we're doing. But for you, I know you're a big foodie guy. Your previous podcast that you've done, I want to hear about favorite go-to spot in Denver.
Oh, for sure. No, man, that's
for food or drinks. I guess up to you.
For sure.
I know you have like a list of thousands because
I will say that some of my favorite restaurants are owned by Tommy Lee. I've never met him in person, but I've met people that have started businesses from his restaurants, which include Uncle Ramen. Fantastic ramen place. Definitely go there during the wintertime, and it gets packed. So just to let you guys know, it doesn't open until 5. It's only a dinner place. Go check out Uncle Ramen.
I'm looking this up right now.
Place. Yeah, it's just Uncle. He has a couple places. There's 2, but nonetheless, the other spot that I would highly recommend is owned by Tommy as well. I guess we're on a first name basis. I've never met the guy, but he owns Hop Alley as well. Hop Alley is an excellent Chinese American fusion place. Fantastic food. Highly recommend it, especially for date night. Great cocktails as well. And the dumplings are amazing there as well. Dumplings, speaking of them, food trucks, Yuan Wonton, definitely check them out. And Pho King Rapidos.
I said your favorite. I didn't say every single restaurant in Denver here. My God.
I can't even follow directions, dude. But last one I do want to say, Pho King Rapidos. It's Vietnamese Mexican fusion food truck. So fantastic food truck. Yeah, it's good stuff. Anything else, man?
No, this is great. Yeah. Any feedback from the fans is welcome. Just tell us what you guys want to hear and we can cater to that. I think this is going to be once a month thing, right, Ian? Between us?
It is. Yeah. To let you guys know, I guess I won't delve too deep into it, but yes, Dan will be back next month, early on in October. It will be a time sensitive thing. So we want to make sure that we get the recording and get it uploaded as soon as possible so that you guys are up to date in the market and what September, October, 2022 in general looks like. So it's in our best interest that you guys are well informed and making sure that you're purchasing the right property that fits your needs and just looking at the statistics in general. I might be a little bit biased because I love to buy no matter what the market looks like. So whatever.
Hey, man, deals happen every day. If the
That's
numbers
right.
work, then why not? Honestly.
I 100% agree. But other than that, Dan, I am so excited to have you as a regular contributor to the podcast and talking about the state of the market with you being in the trenches. So with that being said, how can people reach out to you, Dan? What if people want to start working with you?
You can hit me up on Instagram at dguenther0703. Probably put that up somewhere because people can't spell my last name. But yeah, other than that, Facebook, anything like that.
We will put it all in the show notes and make sure you guys also sign up for his newsletter, The Market Minute. It's some really good information just for the complete, just an overview of what happened in the market and things to do in the Denver market as well. I myself, find me on Instagram at ian.realestateagents. That's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I post weekly videos on YouTube for long form content of what it's like to be a house hacker and investor in the Denver area. All quality stuff from both Dan and I. With that being said, thanks for listening to the Invest in Denver podcast. I'll see you next time.